The world was white and cold. A wet, clinging snow fell on the fields of Alsace, turning the war-torn landscape into a monochrome painting of death. The temperature hovered just above freezing, a miserable dampness that seeped into bone and marrow. For the men of Company B, 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division, the cold was the least of their problems. They were the last line. 2 companies of American infantry, fewer than 200 men, holding a critical salient against the full might of the German 19th Army. The German offensive, Operation Nordwind, Hitler's final gamble in the West, was threatening to tear a hole in the Allied lines and retake Alsace. And here, in the small, frozen farming village of Holzwehr, the tide was about to break. Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy, all of 20 years old and already a legend in the 3rd Division, stood in the command post, a shell-pocked farmhouse, staring at a map. He was a slight figure, barely 5'5" and weighing 110 pounds, soaking wet, with a boyish face that belied the hard, flinty eyes of a man who had seen too much death. He was the company's executive officer, but with his captain wounded, he was in command. The first sign of the attack was not a sound, but a feeling, a low, guttural rumble that vibrated through the frozen ground. Then the world exploded. German artillery, mortar, and Nebelwerfers, the screaming Mimis rained down on the American positions with a fury that turned the snow to mud and the earth to a shredding hell. Men screamed, trees splintered, the farmhouse shuddered, dust and plaster raining down from the ceiling. Murphy ran outside into the maelstrom. German infantry, 6 companies of them, were advancing in waves, their white winter camouflage making them wraiths in the snow. They were supported by tanks, their steel beasts rumbling forward, cannons belching fire. The American line, already thin, began to crumble. Men fell, their bodies disappearing into the crimson-stained snow. The order came down the line: fall back, consolidate at the rear. It was a tactical necessity, but it felt like a death sentence. To retreat across the open, snow-covered field was to be cut to pieces. Murphy saw it all with a chilling clarity. He saw his men breaking, the tanks advancing, the Germans closing in for the kill. And in that moment, faced with overwhelming defeat, he made a decision that was not tactical, not rational, but born of a white-hot rage that had been building inside him for 2 years. He would not retreat. He would make them pay for every inch of this frozen ground. He ran forward, not back, toward the most dangerous weapon on the battlefield, a burning M10 tank destroyer, its .50 caliber machine gun still mounted and intact. Its crew was dead, but the gun was live. This was his fortress. This was his Alamo. He climbed onto the back of the burning vehicle, the heat searing his clothes, the flames licking at his back. He grabbed the handles of the heavy machine gun, its cold steel a stark contrast to the inferno beneath him. He was alone, one man against an army, and he was just getting started. But to understand the man who would stand on that burning tank, you have to go back to the beginning, to a dusty, sun-baked patch of Texas dirt, where a different kind of survival was the only thing that mattered. The Great Depression didn't just come to Hunt County, Texas. It settled in like a permanent, unwelcome guest. For the Murphy family, it was a death sentence. Audie Leon Murphy was born on June 20, 1925, the 6th of 12 children. His father, Josiah, a sharecropper and occasional laborer, abandoned the family when Audie was young. His mother, Emmett, a woman of fierce love and fragile health, did her best to hold them together, but she died of a combination of influenza and pneumonia when Audie was just 16. The family shattered. The older children left to find work. The younger ones were farmed out to relatives. At 16, Audie Murphy was the man of the house, responsible for feeding his 3 youngest siblings. He dropped out of school in the 5th grade to pick cotton, a back-breaking job that paid pennies. He learned to hunt with a .22 rifle, not for sport, but to put food on the table. He became a crack shot, not out of talent, but out of necessity. A missed shot meant an empty belly. He was a scrawny, wiry kid with a chip on his shoulder and a fire in his belly. He worked any job he could find, picking cotton, loading boxes, pumping gas. He was good with his hands and quick with his temper. He learned to fight, not because he enjoyed it, but because, in the world he inhabited, weakness was an invitation to be preyed upon. He was fiercely protective of his family, a miniature patriarch who would sooner starve himself than see his siblings go without. When the United States entered World War II, his friends started talking about enlisting. It was a way out, a chance for adventure, a steady paycheck. For Audie, it was something more. It was a way to avenge his mother's death, a death he blamed on poverty and neglect. It was a way to prove that the poor, skinny kid from Texas was worth something. He tried to enlist. The Marines turned him down. He was too short. The Army paratroopers turned him down. He was too light. He was, in their estimation, a 98-pound weakling. But Audie Murphy was not a man who accepted no for an answer. He persisted, and finally, the U.S. Army, desperate for manpower, accepted him. In June 1942, at the age of 17, he was sworn in. He was trading the dusty fields of Texas for the battlefields of the world. He had no idea what he was getting into, but he knew one thing: he would never run from a fight again. Training at Fort Meade, Maryland, and Camp Walters, Texas, was a culture shock. The discipline, the regimentation, the sheer scale of the army was overwhelming. But Murphy, accustomed to hardship, adapted. He was a natural soldier. He was an expert marksman, his years of hunting serving him well. He was tough, resilient, and utterly fearless in training exercises. He was also a loner, quiet and intense, keeping to himself, writing letters home to his sister Corinne, his only confidant. His first taste of combat came during the invasion of Sicily in July 1943. He landed with the 3rd Infantry Division, the Rock of the Marne, and was immediately thrust into a brutal, grinding campaign. The first time he saw a man killed, a friend from his platoon, he vomited. The second time, he felt a cold, hard knot form in his stomach. The third time, he felt nothing at all. The fear was still there. A cold snake coiled in his gut, but he learned to control it, to channel it into a focused, deadly calm. It was in Sicily that he first distinguished himself. During a fight near Palermo, his company was pinned down by machine gun fire. Without orders, Murphy crawled forward, alone, under a hail of bullets. He worked his way to a position flank of the German gun emplacement. He rose up, fired his rifle, killed 2 German soldiers, and then charged the position, killing 2 more and capturing the rest of the crew. For this act of gallantry and intrepidity, he was awarded the Bronze Star with V device for valor. It was the first of many, but it was the death of his best friend, Private Latty Tipton, that truly forged him into the soldier he would become. They were advancing on a German position when Tipton was shot and killed by a soldier who was pretending to surrender. Murphy flew into a rage. He single-handedly wiped out the entire German machine gun nest, killing every soldier in it. Afterward, he sat by Tipton's body and wept. The boy from Texas was gone, replaced by a cold, hard killer who would never again trust the mercy of an enemy. From that day on, he fought with a reckless, almost suicidal abandon. He had nothing left to lose. By the time of the invasion of southern France, Operation Dragoon, Audie Murphy was a seasoned combat veteran. He had fought through Sicily and Italy, been wounded multiple times, and accumulated a collection of medals that was becoming legendary. He was now a staff sergeant, a squad leader, and the men who served under him both feared and revered him. They feared his recklessness, but they revered his courage. They knew that when Murphy led, he led from the front, and he would never ask them to do anything he wouldn't do himself. During the push toward Montélimar, his squad was tasked with taking a heavily defended hill. As they advanced, they were hit by a withering barrage of machine gun and mortar fire. Murphy was wounded in the hip by a shell fragment, but he refused to be evacuated. He had his medic bandage him and continued to lead the attack. He saw that the key to the German position was a heavily fortified machine gun bunker. He ordered his squad to provide covering fire while he, alone, advanced on the bunker. He was shot in the leg, but he kept crawling. He was shot again, this time in the shoulder, but he kept crawling. He finally reached the bunker, pulled the pin on a grenade, shoved it through the firing slit, and threw himself flat as the explosion ripped the position apart. He single-handedly destroyed the bunker, killing 6 German soldiers and allowing his company to take the hill. For this action, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. But the cost was high. He was evacuated to a hospital, his body a roadmap of scars. He had been in combat for over a year, and the physical and psychological toll was immense. He was offered a commission and a safe job training stateside. He refused both. His war wasn't over. He had a score to settle with the Germans, and he wasn't going home until it was paid in full. Which brings us back to the burning tank destroyer. Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy, his wounds from France healed but the scars on his soul deeper than ever, stood on the back of the M10 Wolverine. The heat from the burning vehicle was intense, threatening to ignite his ammunition and the fuel tank at any moment. But he ignored it. He had a job to do. He grabbed the grips of the .50 caliber machine gun. It was a crew-served weapon, designed to be fired by a team of 2 or 3 men. Murphy, a 110-pound lieutenant, was about to operate it alone. He sighted down the barrel, the iron sights aligning on the advancing German infantry. He opened fire. The .50 caliber roared to life, a deafening, gut-shaking sound that tore through the winter air. The heavy slugs, each the size of a man's thumb, ripped into the German ranks. Men fell, their bodies torn apart by the devastating firepower. The first wave of the attack stalled, cut to pieces by a single, furious American. The Germans were stunned. They couldn't believe one man was causing so much destruction. They regrouped and charged again, this time with tank support. Murphy swung the heavy machine gun around, its traverse slow and cumbersome. He fired at the tanks, the heavy rounds bouncing off their frontal armor but shredding their tracks and vision slits. He disabled one tank, forcing its crew to bail out. He then turned his attention back to the infantry, cutting down another wave. He was exposed, a perfect target for every German rifleman and machine gunner. Bullets ricocheted off the armor of the tank destroyer around him. Shrapnel from exploding mortar shells tore through the air. He was hit in the leg, but he barely noticed. He was completely consumed by the fight, a whirlwind of destruction. He knew he couldn't hold them off forever. He was running low on ammunition. He grabbed the field telephone attached to the tank destroyer, the line still miraculously intact. He called the artillery fire direction center, his voice calm and steady over the roar of the battle. "Attention," he said. "This is Murphy at Alsace. German infantry and tanks are overrunning my position. I'm calling for artillery fire directly on my coordinates. Adjust fire." The artillery officer on the other end was incredulous. "Repeat your last, Lieutenant." You want us to fire on your position. That's affirmative, Murphy said. They're all over me. For God's sake, fire. The first shells came screaming in, landing just short of his position. The explosions were deafening, shaking the ground. Dirt and shrapnel rained down on him. Closer, he yelled into the phone. Give me it, right on top of me. The next salvo was right on target. The world exploded in a blinding flash of light and sound. The shockwave threw Murphy from the tank destroyer, slamming him to the ground. He lay there for a moment, dazed and deafened, his ears ringing. When he looked up, the field in front of him was a charnel house. The German attack was broken, their bodies strewn amidst the burning wreckage of their tanks. His men, who had retreated to a safe distance, watched in awe. They had seen him single-handedly stop an entire German company. When the shelling stopped, they ran forward to find him. He was leaning against the tank destroyer, his clothes burned, his body bleeding from a dozen wounds, a cigarette dangling from his lips. He looked at them and said, "They're not getting through here." For his actions that day, his one-man stand against an entire army. Audie Murphy was awarded the Medal of Honor. The citation would read that he had single-handedly repulsed the attack and inflicted a number of casualties on the enemy and held the enemy at bay. It was an understatement. He had faced down the abyss and stared it into submission. The war in Europe ended a few months later. Audie Murphy, now a captain at the age of 21, came home as the most decorated soldier in American history. His list of awards was staggering: the Medal of Honor, the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, the Legion of Merit, 2 Bronze Stars with V device, 3 Purple Hearts, and the French Croix de Guerre. He was a national hero, a symbol of American courage and determination. But the hero who returned was not the same boy who had left Texas. The war had hollowed him out. He suffered from what was then called battle fatigue, what we now know as severe PTSD. The nightmares were horrific. He couldn't sleep in a dark room. He slept with a loaded pistol under his pillow. He was haunted by the faces of the men he had killed, and especially by the face of his friend, Latty Tipton. He tried to live a normal life. He used his fame to launch a career in Hollywood, starring in dozens of westerns and war movies. He was surprisingly good at it, his quiet intensity and natural charisma translating well to the silver screen. In 1955, he starred in the film version of his autobiography, *To Hell and Back*, which became a huge hit. But acting was just a way to pay the bills. It was a mask he wore to hide the broken man underneath. He married, had children, and tried to find peace. But the war was always with him. He became addicted to sleeping pills. He gambled away much of his money. He was prone to fits of rage and deep, debilitating depression. The man who had faced down an entire army without flinching was fighting a war within himself that he couldn't win. Scene start, *, near Roanoke, Virginia, May 28, 1971, on a Memorial Day weekend in 1971. Audie Murphy was a passenger on a private jet flying through a thunderstorm over the mountains of Virginia. The plane, flying in zero visibility conditions, crashed into the side of a mountain, killing all on board. He was 45 years old, the man who had survived the most brutal war in human history, who had been shot, stabbed, and blown up, who had stared death in the face 100 times, was finally killed by a freak accident. It was a tragic, almost absurd end to a life that had been anything but ordinary. He was buried with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery. His grave is the most visited grave at Arlington after John F. Kennedy's. It is a simple, white headstone, a stark contrast to the incredible deeds of the man buried beneath it. It doesn't list his dozens of medals. It simply says, asterisk, 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 Texas, asterisk, 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 captain, asterisk, 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 World War II, asterisk, asterisk, World War II, asterisk, 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 June 2019 25, asterisk, 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 Medal of Honor, asterisk, Medal of Honor, asterisk. The story of Audie Murphy is more than just a collection of heroic deeds. It is the story of the terrible cost of war. It is the story of a poor boy from Texas who became a national hero, only to be haunted by the very courage that made him famous. He was the ultimate warrior, a man who was fearless in the face of the enemy, but who was ultimately defeated by the memories of the war he had fought. His legacy is not just in the medals he earned or the movies he made. It is in the story he represents, the story of the millions of soldiers who go to war, who do their duty with courage and honor, and who come home forever changed. They are the ghosts of Holtzwehr, the ghosts of every battlefield, the men and women who carry the war inside them long after the guns have fallen silent. Theirs are the stories that soldiers' pen seeks to tell, the story of the hero and the story of the man.